Welcome back to more Enderal Forgotten Stories. I'm Negative Zero. Thank you for watching. I hope you're doing all right. Well, we are at the exact location of the last cleansing. That's the beacon that the Pyreans used in the last cycle, and we're trying to figure out what happened to them. So I'm going to look around. I said, like this, at some things that will hopefully allow me to use my prophet powers to figure out what happened to them, and hopefully that'll help us avoid it.
They are similar to magic, or the power responsible for the tides. They are pure energy.
Okay. I thought I saw a sword around here. Yeah.
He has betrayed us! Jakal opened the gates and now they're killing everyone!
Exactly what happened to us. Here we go. Here's a dull stone.
The core of this sickness is in people's heads. It is a way of thinking. But you will never understand that, High Priest. Will you?
It was almost as if the beacon longed for the stones. They are the key. I feel it.
So these dull stones might be the black stones that we used for our beacon. Is there another one? Yeah, right here. The last dull stone. Yeah, there's 3 of them.
The beacon was created to banish the High Ones from existence. But to do that, we need something from them.
Exactly what we did. What is happening?
Son, is that
a High One? We have made it. How are you feeling, Prophet? Luring the echo like that, it must have strained you.
It has, but I'll cope. This place, it feels peculiar.
It does, indeed. We are in the consciousness of a past civilization. Do you see that up there? Yaela was right after all. This is our Numinars, the essence of a High One.
Oh yeah, right over there.
Oh yeah.
I think I can probably get rid of this.
I wish you could see this.
Oh yeah. So I wonder if this is the Pyrean High One, right? Every cleansing makes a new High One. I think that might be a thing.
Unbelievable. I have done it. In spite of everything.
You have done it. Such ego. Doesn't the High One feel that we're here? Why doesn't he do anything?
We are in his thoughts. What could you do against that? Time does not exist here. At least not as we know it.
So what now? How do we get the essence inside the container?
We will see about that. Maybe that question will answer itself. Sharon, do it.
There's a
Carry
thing
the
right there.
container to the essence.
As you command, Enderal.
What is it? What are you waiting for?
Tell me, Arantheo. Back in the ruins, when the High One showed you that memory, It was the first time I saw you express real agitation. Not anger, but agitation. What you did to your son. Do you regret it, I wonder? That you abandoned him in exchange for prestige and power.
What?
I don't think you do. What got to you was being reminded of your own failure. Regret. You don't know that feeling. You never have. Not even after Kira.
Shire, what are you?
I hired the mercenaries with Khalid. I helped him kill Lashari. And I let the Neramis into the city. And still, you don't have the slightest idea who I am, do you?
Why, you were there. The night of 1,000 fires.
Yes. I survived your massacre. One of only a few.
Then you did not follow my son because you shared his ideals. You did it to get to me. What for just now? Justice?
Justice. I am done with this world, Arentheal. I have been for a long time now. The only reason why I'm still here is a promise I made to someone. The promise that one day, I will be the one who takes everything from you.
Yes, this is madness. Whatever you are planning to do, it will affect the whole world, not just me. If you want my death, why not just wait, damn it? Once we have lit the beacon, Korek will kill me. That way, all those innocent lives will be...
Please just shut up! You take me for such a fool? As if there's anything in this world you would want more than to die a martyr! Teodor Arentheal, conqueror of the High Ones, savior of mankind. You like the sound of that, don't you? You like it so much. You know, at first, I was so frustrated with all the setbacks. When the Prophet saved Lashari's research in Aldrashidgrad, and when Koarek's first attack on the city didn't succeed. But then I realized that all of this would be so much more gratifying than anything else I could do to you. Your final attempt, and so close to your target, only to fail by my hand.
You asked me once what my daughter's name was. Do you remember?
Yes, I beg you, please.
Lena. Her name was Lena.
No. That's impossible. You fool. Miserable, selfish fool! You killed us all!
Impressive, Arentheal. You really were close. A shame that you were too preoccupied with yourself to see it coming.
Beast! You damn beast! He was possessed! Possessed from the start!
Oh no, Arentheal. I am afraid that is only half true. We reap, but you sowed. Of course we possessed him, but you did all the heavy lifting back at Kira, when you gave the order to massacre everyone dear to him, including his wife and his poor daughter. And so, it is a happy ending after all, isn't it? Without the Norinos, you have nothing to use the beacon's power on. And the only thing it is good for now is the destruction of your own beloved city. It will be a feast, and there will be nothing left of you once we've devoured you. Nothing but cold, gray flesh. It is just as we said. You have failed as you always have done. What is it, Aranthio? Lost your tongue?
No. No, I have not. Not at all. You have just presented me with a solution.
Are you deaf? There is no solution. The cleansing will happen, and you will all die.
Yes. Yes, we will. Your Messiah, the citizens of the city, the armies, we will all burn like the sun. And then it will be over.
You're fantasizing, Aranthio. Without...
Not this time. Here we must go our separate ways. Believe me, I wish it were otherwise. But in your condition, you would just be a burden. And I cannot afford any risks. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about? What are you planning?
The High Ones are right. We cannot use the beacon to banish them anymore. But do you remember what the Archmagister said? Without the Numinos, the beacon's energy would burst out without direction.
Yes, which is why we went to find the Numinos in the first place. Lighting the beacon without it would only...
Cause a massive explosion. Yes. And that is the only thing we can do for mankind now. Koarek was and is essential to the High One's plan. Whatever shape the actual cleansing takes, he wants to make sure it will happen. And we, Prophet, we may have failed in breaking the cycle for ourselves, but not for the others.
The others?
The other people of this world. Araziel, Kira, Kile. They're affected by the cycle as much as Enderal. And I know that there must be people like us. People who have had the same dreams and feel what is about to happen. And if we kill Koarek and his armies, we buy these people time. Time to gather knowledge. Time to build a new beacon. And time to light it themselves.
So you want to blow up the beacon? But what about the city? What about all the people who'll die?
Those whom the Narimes have not yet massacred anyway, you mean? They will die, as you and I will. But they will do so for mankind's salvation. And this is something worth dying for. It is the only way, don't you see? Either we die here, rotting with the Pyreans, or we choose to give our death meaning by at least stopping this fanatic Koarek and his armies. The High Ones are a lot weaker than they pretend to be. I feel it. We were so close to destroying them. And I have faith in the others out there who will fight them. They will succeed where this scum Skyrim made us fail.
So the thing about Skyrim, right? We did the whole thing with Lashari's memories to go see who assassinated her, and it was her ex-lover. But it turns out, as Yuslin said, that he was working with him. Now, in the original Enderal, there was that quest was not there, and it was Yuslin that was traitor. I was really, really curious to see if Yuslin was going to be the traitor again this time. It turns out he is. They didn't change the whole ending to the game. But anyway, let's look at what we have here. What have you lost your mind? We can't put a death sentence over all of Enderal just for some vague hope. These people, they trust you. We're buying them time. Yes, maybe you're right. I don't know if it really matters what we say here. He's going to do what he wants to do. He calls Koarek a fanatic, but he is just as fanatical in his own way. And I'm going to call him out on it. These people, they trust you, Aranthiel.
So, a shepherd cannot decide the fate of his sheep.
Yeah, exactly.
What is this really about,
Ego.
Prophet? Your life? The life of this woman who's so dear to you? Now is not the time for arrogance and selfishness. All of this is about more than just us. That you fail to see this disappoints me, Prophet. I thought better of you than that. But it does not matter anymore. I've made my choice. I'm sorry.
begins with the dreams. Breathe.
It all begins with the dreams, huh? What does she mean by that?
Enter the mind of a High One? I hope you're joking.
This was their last stand. They are afraid of us. I feel it. You've killed us! You've killed us all! You have just shown me the solution.
That's a memory from the Pyreans saying the exact same thing as Aranthiel. So maybe what he thinks, and this is something I thought before, maybe his whole pattern of doing what he's doing is still part of the cycle. There's nothing in there. Let's investigate this. This portal. So let's recall what we know about the Veiled Woman. She just brought us back to life. And if we go back to her conversation, let's see, or not her conversation, but her cult. Remember Esme's quest where we were looking for her girlfriend who would join the cult to give the Veiled Woman power to come into this world. And one of the things that they had talked about was the maybe there's a black grain of sand that'll make a different choice. It's not Aranthiel, because he's doing exactly what the High Ones want. I really feel like the High Ones are manipulating him into doing his thing, and I think that is going to be made clear soon. He's just being used. Oh yeah. And so the Veiled Woman has sent us here to do this.
No, this is impossible.
What the? Who are you? What is this place?
Why are you here? Be gone, Phantom. Be gone and leave me to my slumber.
Phantom? What blazes are you talking about? What's the meaning of this?
Then this isn't a dream. You really are here. But why? The Prophet dies when the Emperor leaves him. This is the course of the game. It has always been so. Explain yourself. How did you find this place? And why do you still exist?
The Veiled Woman. She healed me and opened a portal.
Her? But why? She does not have a mind. She does not have feelings. So why should she do this? But still you speak the truth. I can feel it. Then could it really be that the unlikeliest of all eventualities has become reality and brought you here?
So, the Veiled Woman, if we go back to the Esme quest where that opened up a lot of information about her, at least in their cult, they said that she had made the city of Kadash, but long before the High Ones in the cycle, people were like really, really happy. It was kind of like a Garden of Eden sort of thing. but there was an emptiness inside of people. So she created the cycle and the high ones and all the rest of it. And so this cycle has continued into then for innumerable times, who knows how many. The Aged Man is a good example. He's been through at least one cycle, if not more than that, with his... Well, I'll talk about the Aged Man in a little bit, but the idea is that she created the cycle. Why did she create the cycle? Because mankind couldn't accept eternal bliss. This is way back in, I was just looking at this earlier because I'm trying to figure it all out. Episode 44 is where the High Ones spoke to us about Korak. Episode 65 is where the Veiled Woman talked to us about before she brought Jaspar back to life after his sister had killed him. And then episodes 80 and 82 were the ones with the cult of, I think her name was Tara, Esme's ex-girlfriend. 80 and 82 are the ones where we did that, and that's kind of what I'm talking about right now. So she created this cycle that brought about all this suffering, and then they also said, and also brought about hope. Well, hope for what? They don't really explain it in the quest, but I think there's this situation continues to happen until somebody makes a choice that changes, kind of like in Game of Thrones, where they're like, we're gonna break the wheel. Well, I guess they kind of did that, but that was done totally horribly. But to change the way that the cycle does it, to change humanity in a way so that they can move past the cycle. Like, they weren't able to accept happiness beforehand, or accept, weren't mature enough to accept eternal bliss. But the cycle, the idea is you move through the cycle to whatever's past it. And that, I think, is why the Veiled Woman created it, to allow humanity to grow up, basically. And this is just a theory. There's a million theories out there if you look on the internet for Enderal, but I kind of think that the Veiled Woman had created the cycle for a reason, and our prophet has a chance to make that happen. And in that quest in episode 82, as the Veiled Woman was talking to Tara, she said, why Tara was like, why do we do this? Why should I give my life for this? How is it something greater? And the Veiled Woman's answer was, because in a vast desert, there's at least one black grain of sand. And that, I think, is what signifies the hope. There's all this despair everywhere, but there's the hope that one choice, one little grain of sand can change everything. So anyway, that's kind of what this guy is talking about. The unlikeliest of eventualities, all the prophets before, or, I don't know if that's right, actually, because I also believe that the Aged Man was one of the prophets, and that's why he has lived through so many cycles. There have been a couple of souls that have gotten through the cycles, this guy being one of them. There was also a soul that was bound to a castle. I don't remember exactly what that was, but that was part of one of the quests as well. It's sort of an insane, because it had been through so many cycles, a castle as well. But the Aged Man is like the main one. But anyway, let's continue. The unlikeliest of all eventualities, are you saying that my being here is coincidence?
Coincidence or caprice, I do not know. The Veiled Woman cannot be understood.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Who are you? What are you?
I am sorry. It's been too long since I've spoken to anyone. I have had many names. The Akarians called me the God of Death. The Moonskin people, the Warden of Dreams. The Pyreans, the Demon of the Deep. For your people I am, or was, the Black Guardian. Pompous names, I know. However, I am none of these, neither god nor demon. I am only an eye, condemned to observe again and again.
You know the Pyreans. By the gods, how old are you?
As you measure time, older than your most daring chronicles go back, by far. I have seen them all, since our people fell. Every civilization, every cleansing, every turn of the cycle.
Then you somehow survived the cleansing of your civilization. Are you one of the ancient starlings?
What? No. The starlings came long after me. I was only a fool who wanted to save his own skin at any cost. I knew the cleansing would come. I had known it long before the Red Madness and the war started. But I also knew that fighting it as my people did, and as most do, was pointless. So I looked for another way to prevail. And I found it. What you see here is the result. The Goliath. As I like to call it back then.
The Goliath, what exactly is that?
What is it? My self-dug grave. What it was meant to be was a body of steel, an immortal machine with which I planned to merge my consciousness. Only organic life could be reaped by the High Ones, and I thought that by becoming a machine, I could fool them. By the name of the sun, how brilliant I thought myself. I wanted to become a god, laughing in the face of time. But let me spare you my self-pity. What happened, happened.
So you planned to outlive your own people. To what point? Living in a dead world?
No. Joining the Goliath meant immortality. All I had to do was sleep and awaken once more when the cycle started again, and new life came forth. Except that this new life would not have been defenseless. I would have been a true god to them, one capable of protecting them from the High Ones. No imaginary figure like the Creator. No false gods like the Lightborn were, to speak in your language.
But your plan did work. You built this machine, became it, and survived the cleansing.
As the only one of my people, yes. But it happened faster than it should have. And when the cleansing occurred, the Goliath was not yet finished. And as the Emperor unleashed the light, I had no choice but to complete the joining too early. A fatal error, as it turned out. I did survive, yes. But I am trapped inside this unfinished machine. And ever since then, all I can do is watch. Again and again.
That sucks. This is also just like the guy in Ark in the Noble's Quarter. We did the quest for him where it was called Apotheosis, where he put his soul into... He wanted to put his soul into his starling construction. I forget its name. But his assistant betrayed him when we went to the starling ship up in the Frostcliff Mountains. So he wanted to do the same thing, and this guy actually did it, but he messed it up because his machine won't move, so he has to just sit here. How is he not insane? What do you mean you can only watch? We are thousands of leagues in the deep here, aren't we?
Yes, but a part of the Goliath is the eye. It allows me to see what happens on the surface everywhere. Not as literal as you imagine, of course. I see schemes, feel emotions, similar to your gift, to the Echo. But they are enough to understand,
to be clear, you've been here since the High Ones devoured your people.
Yes. It was not how I planned it. The Goliath in its final form was meant to be divine, a synthesis of man and steel. But I overestimated myself, and I acted too quickly, driven by fear.
We haven't lost yet. Whether the High Ones triumph or not depends on what happens after Aranthiel has blown up the beacon.
No, you do not understand. You are stumbling through the fog, even now that it is almost over. By themselves, the High Ones are not the problem. If we would just see them as they really are, they would become powerless.
Powerless?
Yes. It is hard to put into words. I myself do not know everything about the High Ones. Only that they are part of something we call the cycle. The civilization arises and blossoms, and then, always at the same stage of their development, the High Ones appear, and with them, the Red Madness. People start losing their minds, wars erupt, and chaos rules. Until 2 or 3 years later, the cleansing happens. The moment when the High Ones devour the collective consciousness, the gathered minds of this civilization, to give birth to a new one of their own. Despite all of this, nobody knows what drives them. Perhaps they act out of malice, out of an urge to survive, or perhaps they do not even have a will of their own, but are like a force of nature. But I do know one thing. As powerful as they might be, it is mankind who gives them that power. We make them into what they are. Because what nobody understands is simply this. The High Ones feed on what humanity has the most of. Their ego, greed, pride, fear, and their everlasting search for an enemy who is responsible for all their misery. It is those traits the High Ones make use of. These characteristics are what make us human. And by themselves, they are harmless. Only when we bury them, when we deny them, then they play into the High One's hands. So why is this, you ask? It is simple. The High Ones alone cannot make the cleansing happen. Only a human can. With the beacon, my knowledge about it is as limited as my knowledge about the cycle. It has existed since the beginning of time, and despite what you might now believe, the ancient writings about it are true. Lit by the ones who carry the Numenos, it can banish the High Ones once and for all. But it can also destroy us. Because what happens when it is lit without a core is far more than an explosion. It is the cleansing, the triumph of the High Ones. And even as we speak, a human, Tealor Arinthiol, has done it again. A bright light will appear from the heart of the machine and open a hole in the sky. And within hours, it will spread throughout the world, and they will all feel it. A fire that burns them from within. A white light which will break through their flesh. Do you understand now? The High Ones have no power. All they do is to feed on our weaknesses, manipulate us into bringing about our own destruction. It is we who forge the sword that kills us, we who lead them to their victory, even though the key to salvation has always been in our hands. the same mistake. We repeat the same fate over and over. And only because we refuse to see the truth. Yes, the High Ones are our enemy. But who wants to hear that it is our ego, that dark voice within us, that empowers them? It is so ironic. The moment we would realize all this would be the moment it all came to an end. But we do not. They reap, we sow. Dreams, thoughts, visions, they are everywhere. But the principle is always the same. They throw a tainted seed into a fertile ground. The rest happens by itself.
Man. Okay, so to recap, Tealor causes the cleansing by lighting the beacon without the numinos. So one thing I'd like to point out, way back in episode 44, when we were talking to the High Ones when we had infiltrated Korak's camp, they said, remember, they take the shape of a bear and a spider and a wolf, and the bear said that Korak was not one of the emissaries, and also that Tealor was not one of the emissaries. But the Black Guardian here just said that the Emperor lights the beacon in every cycle. So the High Ones do lie. And so when the High One was just talking to Tealor about what he could do, he basically fed him the idea, made Tealor come up with the idea of lighting the beacon himself, which is exactly what the High Ones wanted. So Tealor has been manipulated the entire time through his pride and arrogance. Anyway, so what you're saying is that without your assistance, the High Ones would be powerless, that the cleansing would never happen.
Just think for a moment. When did the High Ones ever do anything other than manipulate you? Did they ever physically influence any events? They incited the Naramis to march against you, and time and again confirmed the righteousness of both your causes. All they told you, all they showed you, was what you wanted to hear, and what you wanted to see. And yes, if you, Tealor Enderal, his order, and the Naramis had never acted, the cleansing would never have happened.
So he says that, but they still would have had the Red Madness going around. What, and there is really no reason for all of this? I can't believe that.
Maybe there is, but if so, I do not know it. But the more turns of the cycle I witness, the more I get the impression that it is some kind of trial.
Exactly.
A cosmic game, woven by powers we have not even come close to comprehending. Maybe this is just wishful thinking, to give all this pain a meaning, when it does not have one. Maybe the High Ones are simply a law of nature, a concept, and we give birth to them by believing there is such a thing as an ultimate external enemy in the first place. The eternal struggle with ourselves. Perhaps that is just part of what it means to exist.
I think you're right. I think it is a trial. Then that means Aranthiel just initiated the cleansing. He has signed the death warrant for all of humanity.
Like 1,000 others before him, the High Ones knew exactly what they had to do to get him to commit this last act of desperation. They played him with his weaknesses and fears, like a figure on a chessboard, And the saddest part is that until the very end, he will believe that he has done something good.
Because he wouldn't accept failure no matter the price.
That was his greatest fear, yes. To be remembered as a failure, a broken man. That was the stream the High Ones manipulated him from the moment he died, after attempting to flee from his prison on Nerim.
From the moment he died? What do you mean?
The real Orynthiol. He is dead, Prophet. He is a fleshless one of the mightiest tools of the High Ones. Just as you are.
We actually already knew this. We're not really that upset about that. We know that. But you are mad.
I can see why you would say that. And yes, maybe I lost my mind long ago. But that does not change the fact that what I say is true. The methods of how the High Ones influence us are plentiful. And the red madness of their ability to enter our dreams are not their only means. Their mightiest tool is the creation of projections, fleshless ones, or emissaries, as they are also called. If a person dies, and if this person has one last unfulfilled wish, a compulsion, then the High Ones have the power to create a projection of him, an immaterial image of the deceased, which thinks itself real and is perceived as such. What no one notices, not even the projection itself, are two things. Firstly, it is driven by this last unfulfilled desire. Secondly, it becomes an idealized version of its former self, almost tailor-made to free itself from the last compulsion, that ultimate scourge. The daughters of fishermen become warriors. Broken generals become charismatic and driven leaders who seem almost too determined to be real. You are one of these projections, as are all of the emissaries. You are a fleshless one, a spirit searching for liberation from something. I do not know your past before you came to this land, because before you became the Prophet, you were insignificant. But what happened to you and your friend on that ship? You never survived it. You drowned in the Red Sea, and in that very moment, the High Ones entered your mind and made you into what you are today. And other than myself, the High Ones knew your compulsion, knew the desire that drove you. Whatever it was, it made you predictable, and it allowed them to play you, just as they played Orynthiol and Korak. Do you see it now? Every dream the High Ones sent you, every time they appeared to you, they all had but a single purpose: to feed your self-image, to push you in a certain direction. They wanted you to play the game for their purposes, and they succeeded. You read the echo of the future, as other prophets did before you. You helped Orynthiol reconstruct the beacon, and led him to the Numinos. When he saw that it would be taken away from him at the very last instant, his fear of failure led him into doing what he did.
I agree with all of that. But then this means that I'm responsible. I caused the cleansing.
You are not to blame, Prophet. You did what countless others did before you, and you did it because you thought it was the right thing to do. Only one thing is different. In all the time I have been here, never before did a projection realize its own nature. You were meant to dissolve like the rest of mankind. Yet, here you stand, and I tell you the truth. This was never meant to happen.
So I really wonder if this guy, if the Black Guardian, knows about the Aged Man. And so I could totally be wrong about the Aged Man being a prophet, but he's definitely somebody that found a way to survive the cleansing, just like the Starlings did. The Starlings were, I guess, out of reach of the High Ones. The whole Starling thing is really curious and a little confusing. I don't have an answer to what the whole deal with the Starlings is, but I don't think the Black Guardian knows about the Aged Man. And the Aged Man, remember, there in his house was the woman in the water, which was his... The reason I think he's the prophet is because of something that will come up a little later, but I'll talk about that later. But anyway, I just... He's like, no one has ever done that before. He's not telling the truth. He either doesn't know, or the Black Guardian is lying to us as well. Which could be a thing. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see what else we can say. Maybe he is lying to us. Maybe he's trying to manipulate us as well. But that means that the beacon was a trap set by the High Ones from the very beginning. So the High Ones wanted us to reconstruct it. Yeah, let's talk about this one. But then that means that the beacon was a trap set by the High Ones from the very beginning.
No, it is as I said. For as long as this cycle has existed, so has the beacon. It is an element of the game, and it has the power to end it, whether in favor of the High Ones or in favor of mankind. Yet for as long as I have been trapped here, the latter has never happened.
Yeah, and that takes you back to the idea of the Veiled Woman setting it up as a final hope for humanity to move past the cycle. What about the ancient Starlings? They managed to flee the cycle, didn't they? How?
The Starlings, in their time, were called the Yalam Rashe. And yes, they manipulated the game in their favor. Their goals were similar to mine when I created the Goliath. They were a small circle of highly intelligent craftsmen and mages. And just like myself, they did not think the cycle could be won by the beacon alone. So by unknown means, they fled into the sky and created something that protected their city from the cleansing.
But what happened to them? Are they really the ancestors of our Starlings?
Yes. But knowledge about their history is sparse, since the Star City was almost beyond the reach of my eye. But I know that its first centuries were glorious. The Yalam Rashe lived in harmony, and their society was the pinnacle of all that mankind could be. With time, however, their population grew. They became too numerous for their small city, and so they invented their golden rules, which were supposed to control their growth. Having children was regulated now, and those who were found guilty of a crime were punished heavily. The worst sentence was being exiled. The convicted were robbed of their memories and sent back to Earth. This is where the Starlings of your world come from, do you see? And this is why they all feel this longing to return to a far distant place in the stars. It is an ancestral memory.
That explains a lot, and it does make sense. What happened to them? Why was the city deserted?
I do not know. As I said, my knowledge about the Starlings was always limited. All I do know is that one day they were gone. I could not feel them anymore. By that time, their society had become but a shadow of what it once was. But whether they destroyed themselves or left for someplace else, I will never find out.
Interesting. Let's go ahead with this one as well. So the High Ones wanted us to reconstruct the beacon. They made me do it.
They gave you impulses, nudges in the right direction. Those who know a person's past know which strings to pull.
Fair enough. Maybe there is a reason for all of this. Maybe we can still stop the cleansing.
Oh, stop it. No, it is too late for that. By the name of the sun, it is so ironic that the veiled woman did not lead you here earlier. It is over, Prophet. You are strong, but regardless of how long your power can protect you from the light of the cleansing, eventually you will dissolve too. Even if... Wait. No. Maybe you are right. Maybe there is a way.
What way?
But no. It would be pointless.
What would be pointless? Why?
Forgive me, I have to think. Yes, there could be a way. What I told you is true. Here on Earth, you would not survive the cleansing. But there is one place where you could. The Star City. I know that you brought something back from your journey there. The escape pods. And I know that they can also take you back there. For I have seen the Yalam Rashe, the ancient Starlings, do so. Whatever has protected the city over all these millennia, it would protect you too. Yes, you could survive it. By the face of time, you could.
You want me to flee? But to what end? That wouldn't stop the cleansing.
No, it would not. But that is irrelevant. You are fleshless, a projection. And just like me, time cannot touch you. Age cannot kill you. And thus you could succeed where I have failed. You could wait for the cleansing to be over. And then create a new humanity.
Do what?
Create a new humanity. It is only a matter of time until the new turn of the cycle starts. New life will come forth. First, simple life, then human. And just like the civilizations before them, they will also fall victim to the High Ones, because they will have the same weaknesses as we do. But not with your help. You could be a god to them. You could guide their ascent. You could shape a mankind free of egos and weaknesses. And by doing so, you would deprive the High Ones of their power. Just imagine, in this new world, there would be no need for a beacon, because the High Ones simply would not have any strings to pull on. Mankind will defeat them by becoming superior.
A mankind without ego? What is that supposed to mean?
The High Ones reap, we sow. It is our weakness that make the High Ones strong, our ongoing fragility. And if not for that, the High Ones would be powerless. You could be the one to create a humanity like that. Altruism instead of greed. Self-responsibility. instead of the continuous search for an enemy. Awareness instead of blindness.
But what makes you believe I could do that? The Lightborn tried to do the same thing and they failed.
The Lightborn tried to force their ideals onto an already rotten people, just like the Pyrean Sun Priest and the countless false deities before them. You cannot save a tree whose roots have already withered, but with you as a deity to lead this new mankind, it would be entirely different. You could completely change what it means to be human. And would it not be presumptuous to rob the world of this chance, simply because you are afraid of failing? Believe me, I would give a lot for this chance.
Let's go back. I really believe, you know how he just said, you are different. I really feel like since he just said if you know a person's past, you can manipulate them, I think he knows how the prophet thing works, in that you want to matter. And I think he's lying when he says no one has ever done this before. I think this could be part of the cycle as well. Where you meet and you talk with the Black Guardian, although I don't know, that could be wrong because he wasn't always here for all of the cycles, or maybe he was. I don't know. I think he's definitely lied about some things. Anyway, yeah, okay. So no, this is wrong. I can't let all those people die. There has to be another way. You hinted at something.
Yes, I regret that I did. Please, right now, you have the chance to break a millennial-old pattern. Do not let it go to waste. I beg you.
I'll make a decision once you've told me all my options.
You are so stubborn. But, well, you might be able to destroy the beacon itself. The light. It consumes everyone who gets too close to it. But you, as a projection, you might be able to do it. It will not stop what the beacon has already done, but it will interrupt it. However, it would mean your death. Yours and that of all life in Enderal. It is too late to save them now. And even if you succeed, it changes nothing. Yes, Korik would be dead. But do you think the High Ones would just give up? They would retreat for a few years. Decades, maybe. No more. And then it would all happen again. Until another emissary lights the beacon. Trust me, I know humans far better than I would like to. Within a few years you would be forgotten, and they would win, as they always do.
He clearly wants me to make the other choice. Not if someone were to tell them everything that you just told me. Not if someone could flee.
And who would that be? Even if there were someone, do you think anyone would listen? If he were to tell them that humanity itself is to blame, that the ultimate enemy does not even exist.
It would be worth a try.
You are delaying the inevitable, nothing more. And you are throwing away a chance, which we might never have again.
So this is the choice, right? Do you flee to the Starling City with the hope of controlling humanity and making them not wake? That just seems like such a pipe dream. And the thing that makes me doubt that that's a true answer is the aged man, the experience with him, how depressed he was in that he had tried so many times to change humanity and he couldn't. So I think that the Black Guardian is definitely trying to get us to do things a certain way. And I want to go against what he's saying, because I don't think he's telling us the whole story, and I definitely believe that he's lied about some of the stuff, at least, that he's spoken about. Maybe, but I will not judge over the life or death of so many. I will destroy the beacon. I really think this is the right answer. I think this is what would break it. I think... Yeah, well, I think this is the way to do it. I know he says that it's just going to delay the inevitable, but I think the self-sacrifice and not trying to control humanity and guide them ourselves, I don't think that's the right way. All right, I'll destroy the beacon.
Then you will change nothing. But what can I do? I am powerless. Go. Do what you must. Deal with the consequences. There is one more thing I need to ask of you, however. One final request. I want you to shut me down.
Shut you down? You mean kill you?
Yes. I want to finally rest. I will not spend another 1,000 years watching this tragedy unfold. You could have changed it, but you did not. There is nothing I can do now. Please, do it. The switch is in front of you. That was how I connected myself to the Goliath. It will cut the connection as well. Do it. And then go. Go and fulfill your fate.
Okay. Is that this button right here? I think what I want to do now, because this is a very long episode, I think we're going to actually stop right here for today and wrap things up. So I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. We've learned a lot. We've thought about a lot. I've certainly talked a lot, and I might be full of baloney, or I might be onto something. I don't know. Let me know what you think. See you next time. Take care.